have your memo right here, Tim's name. So they wanted.
Oh.
Okay, so am I in the right place?
Yep.
Is Terry on Zoom?
No, she said
Just for the.
yeah, but she said she was going to watch this. So I'm going to that.
In the past, I would go to the trust. All right, we're going to reconvene our open session. Good evening, everybody. Orange County School Board Association. Hope everyone is doing well.
I got caught.
I'd like to ask Trustee Inman to report out actions taken in closed session.
On a 6-0 vote, the board took action in closed session to deny a student appeal of an administrative determination of unlawful harassment.
Thank you for that. Now, we will have an invocation led by Trustee Milchiker and a Pledge of Allegiance led by Trustee Prendergast.
As we gather here today, we pause to acknowledge the hard work, dedication, and care that each of you brings to the shared mission of the South Orange County Community College District. This holiday season approaches, and it's time to reflect, rest, and renew. It's a time to express gratitude for the work we do together and the community that we have built together. To the professors, classified professionals, administrators, students, and board members, this be a time of year to bring you moments of peace, rest, and connection. May you find the time to space to recharge, surrounded by the comfort of those you hold dear, and return to us refreshed and ready to continue the important work of education, growth, and learning in the year ahead. As we look forward to the future, may we be reminded of the value of our collected efforts, and may we approach the coming months with a renewed sense of purpose and a shared commitment to excellence. May this season bring you all the quiet joy that you deserve, and may we come together in the new year ready to make a difference. Thank you.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you both for that. Are there any requests for public comments? No? Seeing none, we'll go to board reports. And I think I will start out on my right with Trustee Milchiker.
Okay. First, sincere congratulations to board members Tim Jamal, Carolyn Inman, and Ryan Dack, who were re-elected and will be serving our district for another 4 years, and I couldn't be more delighted. So welcome back. And
Thank you.
And congratulations to Dr. Martha McDonald, Vice President of Student Services, and she was at IVC Kadi Petrie Norris, named 2024 Veteran of the Year, and we're proud to honor Dr. McDonald as she was presented with this prestigious honor. Congratulations too to Kiana Tababedsta, Saddleback College chemistry professor, and Sanjay Gupta, Irvine Valley College math professor. We were honored to recognize them at the Teacher of the Year ceremony at the Disneyland Hotel. Trustee Pendergast and I enjoyed Saddleback coffee with the trustees. Professor Sean O'Rourke brought his winning debate team to meet with us. That was special. And Letitia Cars asked trustees why they wanted to run for the board, what were their proudest moments as a trustee, and what are our goals for the upcoming year. I loved answering those questions. The dialogue was impactful and we learned a lot, especially that our student mental health program at Saddleback College is one of the finest of any of the post-secondary institutions around. And I led our board legislative meeting, but there'll be a presentation of the same information at today's board meeting, so I won't go on to that. Of course, the chancellor mentioned that in the Orange County Register, SOCCCD has a $7.1 billion impact to Orange County economy. So investment in education is always worthwhile. And don't forget the Saddleback College plant sale coming in this Thursday and Friday from 9 to 4 at the Saddleback College greenhouse. So don't miss it. They have noteworthy plants grown by the horticulture students, and every penny goes to Saddleback College scholarships. The theater's coming up. IVCA is going to have Into the Woods. Saddleback is going to have The Wolves. They're having the Feast of Lights beginning of September, and an arts student sale, which one time I bought like lots of artwork for the students. And don't forget the Saddleback College is having CIF's championship football games December 13th and 14th. So thank you.
Thank you for that, Trustee Milchiker. Trustee Inman.
Thank you. Communication is so important, and it seems like November was just a ton of different kinds of communication events. The first one I was going to talk about, I'll still mention it, and that was the Veteran of the Year. It's so neat for the rest of us. I had no idea that Dr. McDonald was a veteran, and not only that, they talked about things that she had accomplished and barriers she had broken, and it was just really neat to get to know her, and in a way that we didn't already. So that was great. And on the same idea of communication as respect, I was going to talk about the Teachers of the Year, because that's although we have to drive in the traffic to get there to the Disneyland Hotel. It's a great event, and it's very exciting to see all of the people honored. The voters communicated their desires, and so I'm happy to have been reelected along with Trustee Dack and Trustee Jamal, and we will be welcoming a new person next month. Okay, I also so another way to communicate is through television, and it's interesting because we're all really tired of people communicating with us during television, and glad that's over. But it's really fun to talk about, share about the accomplishments that we have here at our two colleges, and I got to do that on Laguna Woods TV, and that was a lot of fun. Finally, I was going to talk, too, about the Irvine Valley College coffee and tea with the board. We did it last year, and it was good, but it was much better this year. It was just, I think we were relaxed and whatever, the atmosphere was great. And we want to hear, if people don't tell us about some problem or some little thing that could be improved, then we may never actually know about it. So I think it was very, very fruitful, and happy to be part of it. And so I'll end with my communication. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Trustee Inman. Trustee Prendergast.
Yes, so I also did the coffee and tea with Trustee Milcher at Saddleback College. Well attended, a nice mix of classified and faculty and students. And in fact, there was one student in particular who grilled us pretty well with questions, and they were all very, very good and well thought out. So it was nice to be able to attend that and meet in a less formal environment. And then I'm sorry I missed the Teacher of the Year. I had a family event that I can't share yet. Mystery. But
Not fair.
oh yeah, you can wait. Everyone else is. But it's, I mean, as both President Stern and Hernandez can tell you, I can recite the entire event other than the exact word. But anyway, I've been to enough of them that I really enjoy that event. It's always good. And so congratulations to those professors. And that is all I have, other than congratulations, as it was said.
All right, thank you for that. Trustee Dack.
I have a relatively short board report tonight. Just want to again congratulate Dr. McDonald at for attending and being honored at the Veteran of the Year event that was held at IVC earlier, I want to say this month, maybe it was last month. I don't know. It's, as you can tell, election season really takes it out of mostly candidates up here. So we have 3 up here, myself included. So congratulations to our returning trustees who will be coming back to serve another 4 years. And I was also fortunate enough to attend the Teacher of the Year ceremony at the Disneyland Hotel. It's again very fun traveling up there from Irvine at 5 p.m., as you might imagine, in Anaheim. But that is it. That concludes my board report.
That was good. All right, Dr. McDonald, congratulations again. Awesome accomplishment. Teachers of the Year, awesome. Yes, that event was good. Parking's always a challenge. Maybe they'll move it next year. I don't know. Congratulations to my 2 colleagues down here, Trustee Dack and Trustee Inman, on your reelection. Good to be back with us. And I just want to say I'm grateful as well to be reelected. To I thank the trustees, the voters of Area 7. It's the first election in which I ran, which was not district-wide, which was a little more interesting. I do like running district-wide. I do enjoy it. You get out and meet different sets of communities and peoples. I understand the rationale behind going to area elections. There's good and there's bad. But for me, it's very simple. Do what's in the best interest of the students. And I think that that worked. It works. It works in policy, and I think the voters agreed with that. So I'm really grateful with the community, Area 7, which is most of Mission Viejo, Rancho Santa Margarita, Ladera Ranch, and a small part of Laguna Niguel. So I thank them for that. And with that, Student Trustee Clemente.
Good afternoon, everybody. I wanted to add from last meeting about the Blueprint for Success JBay conference. Many Guardian scholars and staff had the privilege of attending. It was very insightful, and there were lots of programs to support college students who struggle with balancing classes, mental health, and basic needs. I look forward to sharing them with both colleges. On the topic of mental health, I want to thank the Health Center and DSPS for all that they do for our campus staff and students. I would like to extend a special thank you to Stacy and Bree at IVC's Health Center and DSPS offices for all that they do in helping in providing those healthy handoffs and going above and beyond to help students find outside resources and extra support. As we get ready for the holidays with lots of student participation, I'm hoping to see great success in bringing together many students who belong to different programs and groups and spreading holiday cheer. Thanks.
Thank you for that. We will now move on to our student government reports, and we'll start out with Christian from Saddleback College.
Good evening, members of the board. Some quick congratulations are in order. Congratulations to all the trustees for winning their elections, and congratulations to Presidents Stern and Hernandez on their exceptional leadership and being recognized by the Orange County Business Journal. And congratulations to student trustee Charla Clemente for making it on this paper. So very nice to see your face on there. Our Associate Student Government has hosted numerous successful events this month. At the beginning of the month, we had our Dia de los Muertos event with crafts and food. We had an engaging presentation on titled Debunking Your Mind, which is on the 13th, where guest speaker Nathan Schubert Estrada used popular culture, comedy skits, and history to break down the stereotypes and myths surrounding indigenous peoples. And today, we actually had our beading circle where we learned how to bead beautiful indigenous jewelry and what specific beads mean to specific tribes. All these events were organized by our International Diversity Student Council, led by our wonderful Senator Nicole Carra. So another congratulations to her. Finally, I'd like to use the rest of my time to share a quick history lesson that we hear and those watching online could hear. In 1938, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, my personal favorite president, warned that the global rise of fascism was the result of democratic governments doing the opposite of the New Deal and protecting an economic status quo, enriching a tiny handful at the expense of everyone else, saying, quote, "Democracy has disappeared in several other great nations, not because people dislike democracy, but they tire of unemployment, insecurity, watching their children go hungry, and weakness through lack of leadership. Finally, in desperation, they chose to sacrifice liberty in hope of getting something to eat." And with that, that's the end of my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Clarice, oh, no, we're not Clarice. Irvine Valley College, ASB.
Good afternoon. I'm in here in replace of Clarice. My name is Sarab. I'm the Executive Vice President of ASIVC. And I'm going to be giving you 3 updates regarding our ASIVC. So we started off with our first Interclub Council Community Service Day. This is where 15 members participated and came together to make blankets for our community. The event was hosted on November 2nd, and we joined the Love Irvine event, where our members made more than 150 blankets for the 211 Marine Battalion project. Regarding a second update, we had our ASIBC retreat. Our student government leaders participated in a couple-day course of activities to increase leadership and learning skills. We also had the privilege of having Vice President Martha McDonald attend, and we gave her a cake and made poppies to honor her for her service. Lastly, we are working on a current ASAC application for our student government leaders. We will be making that so regarding 3 to 5 students can attend going to DC. Those are my reports. I also like to thank you all for having me here today.
You're welcome. And I'm taking note of personal privilege because I didn't finish my whole 2 minutes. Forgot to mention the day after the election, at the crack of dawn, we were at Irvine Valley College doing a listening session, which was full of staff and management and faculty, and it was a really lively and engaging session. So we don't stop when we win, we keep going, and we try to get better. All right, so with that, you're not Rebecca Beck.
No, I'm not. My name's RJ Dalbin. I'm Academic Senate Vice President and Curriculum Chair at Irvine Valley College, and so I'm filling in.
Okay.
So first thing I'd like to update you about is I attended the ASCCC Fall Plenary in lovely Visalia, where parking was not a challenge. And I spent a lot of time in a lot of different sessions on DEIA, AI and curriculums, ETC OER, rules and procedures. Got to actually spend a lot of time with Saddleback President-elect Frank Gonzalez. There were a variety of resolutions that were passed. I'm not going to go into detail on all of them, but there were a few about AB 1111, a few about 1705, one asking for flexibility for students around academic renewal programs, clarity on what's called automatic billing, where I guess some places are calling it more euphemistic terms like inclusive, equitable, or first day access, and in a resolution advocating for an official Native Americans Day for California Community College calendars. And then an update on AB 1111. Phase 1 courses are on the consent for today's meeting. If and when those are approved, that info will be uploaded to the Chancellor's office by December 3rd. Phase 2 is in the works. The groups are being formed. Actually, the groups have been formed. 12 faculty from community colleges and the 4 years to work on the templates for the new courses. IVC actually got a faculty member, Diana Hurlbutt, on one of the committees for the biology courses. So that was good, and there's approximately 20 of those. There's another 50 for phase 3, but those won't be for another year. The next task will be updating the corresponding awards, and it'll be a sequencing issue because some awards. We'll have courses from phases 1, 2, and 3. So we'll have to figure that out. And with my 5 seconds of personal privilege, I'd like to wish my youngest daughter, Bianca, a happy 4th birthday. Thanks.
You didn't need personal privilege, you did it, so. I see that we don't have Saddleback College Academic Senate here, correct? Is there anyone? No, okay. I'll turn it over to Faculty Association, Robert Melendez.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So again, I know everyone is congratulating, and I just want to continue with the board members, Trustee Jamal, Trustee Dack, Trustee Inman. Congratulations on your reelection. The Faculty Association looks forward to working with the three of you along with the other board members on what I know is going to be a good amount of uncertainty and change in the next coming years. And I think it's going to be important for us to look at that, whether it's at the federal level or the state level, to make sure that we ensure that this is a place where individuals want to come to work, but also want to come to learn. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're now moving on to IVC Classified Senate? No, not here. Okay. Saddleback College Classified Senate.
Good evening, everyone. Saddleback Classified Senate was able to support a few events since we last met. On Thursday, November 7th, the MESA program, as well as the School of STEM, hosted over 400 students and community members at the College Observatory for the Stargazing Night event. We actually had several classes from our adult education program join us and the general community. So it was just a wonderful event for folks to really experience college and college type things. This is the second time that Classified Senate President-elect Georgina Martinez and Classified Senate Treasurer Madeline Hernandez have organized this event within their roles at the college with STEM and the MESA program. On November 12th, we celebrated our third First Gen Day celebration, and I know that IVC also did one there, so I wanted to throw that in there. We invited First Gen students, faculty, classified professionals, and administrators to leave their mark on our annual handprint wall, and that handprint wall will join the first two on the first floor of the LRC. I truly believe that these two events are going to become, well, I'm going to see that they become traditions that happen and continue on at Saddleback, because I believe that our students and our community look forward to them. Also, on November 7th, a rather large contingent of Saddleback, IVC, and district services folks joined Chancellor Barnes at the regional convening of the California Community Colleges. We heard from Chancellor Christensen and her team more about, what they're working towards in Vision 2030, and it was a great opportunity for our whole district really to think about how their plans align with our plans and our strat plan. Coming up, I see I only have a little bit of time. We have a few events this week. Transgender Day of Remembrance will be on Wednesday, November 20th. There are multiple events that are going on the campus. There'll be something that's on the lawn of our college, and then also a discussion panel with community members and families and students. And then this Friday, Saddleback Cares, our Caring Campus Efforts, is presenting a roadshow on artificial intelligence, and that will be Friday afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I don't think we have CSCA here, correct?
Scott gave me his words, so I'll be Scott.
Okay.
I am
So on
Scott
behalf
for
of
the next 2 minutes.
CSCA,
Yes.
you're still on.
Good evening, trustees. First of all, congratulations to Trustee Jamal, Trustee Dack, and Trustee Inman for your re-election victories. CSEA Chapter 586 is very happy with the wins and will continue to support all of you as we support all members of the Board of Trustees. And we will warmly welcome Trustee-elect Bartlett when she takes her seat on the board in 2025. Tomorrow, November 19th, 2024, CSEA statewide is partnering with Education Source to hold a statewide seminar on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM. CSEA is strongly encouraging interested members in participating in this seminar. Assembly Bill 1705 came into law to encourage community colleges to enroll more STEM students directly into calculus with an eye towards reducing racial inequalities in college achievement. Advocates and some faculty have embraced the law, which they argue will result in more students completing calculus, although there are skeptical math professors who worry students will be underprepared for calculus and believe the reforms also will cause more of them to fail. Most lawmakers do not see it that way. They want to help as they They want to help as they try and raise the educational ranking of California among the 50 states. It was important for CSAA to partner in this effort, and it is important for CSAA to help lead the way in increasing college achievement for many, many diverse students across the state. With the natural skills and talents of diverse STEM students, it increases the opportunities for them to display those STEM talents so they can reach those educational goals and be part of the highly skilled, well-paid, specialized jobs. The speakers at tomorrow's symposium include a vice chancellor from the state chancellor's office, several community college math professors, a dean of mathematics, science and engineering, and a prominent student senate president and DSPS mentor from American River College.
Great job doing 2 reports.
I know.
All right, we do have someone here from the POA, Officer Ginther, correct?
Yes, hello. My name is Dave Ginther, and I'm an interim supervisor at the Irvine Valley College campus and ATEP. I'd like to just give a brief update on emergency management, some of the positive work that we've done recently to improve these services to our college community. We have regular fire drills and such, and of course we did the Great Shakeout in October. This year we added something to it. We purchased 3 high quality, if you will, dummies, and we dressed them, and they had realistic looking injuries and such. We placed them throughout the college, and it was a task for the building marshals and captains to locate those. Well, 2 out of the 3 dummies lived, and unfortunately one didn't. So one was not found. But anyway, this was an effort to, increase their engagement in this activity. So that was an update for this year. Some other updates we've done recently is we've installed, if we have an issue with communications as far as a power failure or the internet system, we've installed operational landlines. So we have what they're called red phones. They're actually a push button, old-fashioned landline phone, and I think some of us here will remember those. So if you remember the Batman series, it's somewhat like that. I actually want to purchase one of those glass domes and put over it, but if I could find one. But of course, those are very important in case, again, we lose communication abilities. Also, we're working on deploying next generation panic buttons and the video system in the college. The panic buttons are a little bit of an outdated system. It's kind of a remote control type of device for your garage door, and they're mounted on the desks, if you're familiar. They're often mistaken for the controls that operate the desk and raise and lower and such. So we respond to a lot of those incidents, So we're trying to change that out, and it'll be part of the telephone system. Along with the video system, we're making improvements on that. It's recently been proposed for those to upgrade the quality of the system. Right now, the quality is fair. So with these improvements, we'll get a much more, a better description of the subjects. This, of course, has to do with any kind of incident we have on the campuses. The description of the people and the vehicles and the license plates. Right now, it's not the best system, but we're working on that improvement. And last, we're still working on the Emergency Operations Center van, so that is going to be eventually outfitted with emergency equipment that we can respond to any kind of incident on campus. And then beyond that, one other additional thing. Recently, we have 23 training teams on the campus, and each one is going to be, over the next year, have their active shooter and aggressive response training. So that's a significant improvement. Out of all that, we're going to have 25 within the next year. And that involves a training and a drill for each team. So those are some of the improvements we're making on both campuses there.
Thank you, officers. Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on. We have no, excuse me. Wait, we don't. We have one other item. Board requests for reports. Do we have any?
Request for information.
Trustee Dack.
So I had submitted this earlier this week, but apparently it is a hefty ask. But I want to formally ask that we get a report on the feasibility of redrawing our trustee districts. As we all have run up here, we see that we have a lot of cities that are just split in half. And from my perspective, in fact, I think District 3 had one neighborhood of Irvine in it. So I think I'm just requesting what the feasibility might be to make it so that we have our communities of interest contained all within one district instead of split apart. I know that Trustee Milchiker was very adamant in being not happy, I would say, about Laguna Woods being split in two between two districts. It's not a very big city, so kind of want to look into why that is. The city of Aliso Viejo also split into two different districts. It sounds like Mission Viejo is also split amongst districts. I don't suspect that there will be large population changes, but I think to really represent the community for a city like Laguna Woods, why are we splitting it in half, and can we fix that? So that would be my request for information.
So point of clarification, if I can. Let me just understand what you're asking for. You're asking for a report on the feasibility of doing a redrawing of our area boundaries before the next census is conducted.
That is correct.
So it's a feasibility of doing so, not to do so.
Yeah, well, I mean, can't say I'm an expert on our laws here. I do know that mid-decade redistricting does occur at the legislative level in different states, but obviously every state is different. School boards might be different as well. And I just want to see, is that a possibility? If not, always do it in 2030, I guess.
Yeah. So I mean, I think do you want to say a few words? But I think, first of all, I agree with a lot of what you said. I wasn't terribly happy with the way the areas were drawn. But at the same time, it's hard for me to say that I'm unhappy because the area of 7 voters seem to like me enough to reelect me. So I'm really happy to have Area 7 voters. I think doing it midstream is unusual. I don't know of instances when this has occurred before, meaning midstream before the next census, which I think is 2030. So I think it would have to, if the board approves the administration and staff doing this feasibility study, I think we need to think very carefully about whether we ask them to do that. Knowing that I agree with a lot of your criticism the way the boundaries were drawn. So, Trustee Prendergast.
My caution would be if you were to do it, you'd have to do it after the next cycle of elections. Otherwise, you have voters that will have gotten to vote twice for different people and voters who didn't get to vote at all if they get drawn out. Good. So I think you would have to wait until the next cycle of elections to even consider drawing them different.
Well, I'd add the 22 cycle had, 3 members elected, and then 24. So I think this would be the time to do it because every district has had an election under this map, so everyone is represented.
So any other trustees want to comment on this? Chancellor, do you want to comment on this?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked for clarification. So you're asking for the feasibility of doing such a study without actually conducting the study? Because I think to really get at it, we'd have to conduct the study. So it sounds like we're looking at feasibility and perhaps the process implications to cost.
I guess we could wrap everything up. Feasibility, is it legal? It would be the most important question, probably.
Right.
And if it's not, then we just stop right there.
And I think because we have, at least we're going to have a couple of new trustees who were not here when we did redistricting before. I think we could also put that out on the table just as a reminder as to what that looked like before. Because I think there was an interest of the board before to not split cities, but when you looked at populations, I think we ended up landing on that because of that. So I don't think there was a desire to split cities, but we could look at the previous process, we could look at costs, we could look at what that would look like moving forward, implications, without actually doing the study.
And the only reason I do ask is I had looked at populations, and within the deviation that is allowed by the California Constitution in the Voters' Rights Act, there wouldn't be any, you could keep cities together and not violate that. I think it's 10% deviation and keep all cities intact. I think the only thing that would be an issue is public perception of what those districts look like, because Lake Forest, it's pretty rectangular, but Laguna Woods is not. Aliso Viejo is not. Mission Viejo is not. It's got like a little curve in the northwest region or northeastern region. So the districts might look less cohesive, but it will keep communities of interest together if we were to go about this and not split cities and not have random. I think TJ here has one precinct of Irvine, and Trustee Inman has one precinct of Tustin. It's just small things like that where it's like, we probably could clean that up with minimal issue. But so feasibility, I think, would be a good place to start.
Well, so the question is, does this need a board report, or can this be something that the staff and the administration address? I mean, I guess does it have to be a board report to do a feasibility assessment? Because I would think the feasibility would include also costs involved, because I know, I think we had how many public hearings on the, we had 7 public hearings about 2 years ago on, or wait, when did we do it? 28?
Would have been 21.
2020.
This was 2020.
Right, because 2022 was the first election.
Right.
Which we went to areas instead of district-wide.
Right.
So in 2021, we had 7 public hearings on the process to create areas, because we had never had them. And we did have areas. We didn't vote in areas. We all served in areas and had to reside in those areas. The difference was, in, of course, area elections, only the area voters, even though before we had to live there. I've always lived in Area 7. So I would just be really concerned about doing something like this in the middle before doing another census. Having agreed with most of your points, I didn't agree. For example, looking at my own district, I didn't agree with siphoning off this portion of Mission Viejo. It didn't make sense to me why that was done, and that's my area. And it's an area where I have dozens of friends, literally right across the street. So, but that's not any reason to keep the area. But I'm saying, I think it impacts all of us. Go ahead, Trustee Prendergast.
I would say it qualifies as a board report, one, because it'll take staff time to do it, and 2, we would all want to hear what the result is.
Yeah.
So I think if all he's asking for is A, is it legal? B, how much would it cost? C, is it something we want to do? Then yeah, I'd like to
include in the report, if I can add. I'd like to add to the report then in the feasibility instances when the lines have been redrawn in the middle of prior to the next census.
So even if it is legal, has it been done?
Done under what circumstance it wasn't? Was there an urgency to it that required it? Cleanup is one thing. I hear what you're saying, a street here, a couple neighborhoods there, but a major redrawing, I would like to see when there are instances when a jurisdiction has done that.
I can speak on history. In 2003, the state of Texas did mid-decade redistricting for purely partisan reasons. So it has been done in the past and completely legal, but that is, of course, a legislature doing it to state legislative seats. I'm not familiar with one regarding school boards.
Okay. All right. Well, he has a, motion.
I'll second.
To conduct the feasibility study on redrawing the areas. Second, did you second it, Trustee Prendergast? Trustee Milch, could you want to say anything?
No, I agree with doing a feasibility study at this time.
Okay. All right. So do we need a oral vote? Are you going to do electronically? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, is it a vote?
I think you just,
It's just a request for information.
yeah.
Oh, okay, so this, because we do have to vote on a board report.
Right.
Because this is not the board, just again,
just the
this is not the board report. This is on the feasibility of doing a board report. Okay.
Yeah, this is for a feasibility study, so that's what I
But we
see
don't
it as.
No.
on board report requests.
Right.
We do. We do vote on board report requests.
When they,
Correct, right. So this is not a board report request requiring a vote of the board. We're not at that stage yet.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is for just a study to see.
So there's no vote. All right. Okay, moving on. That went longer than I thought, but we got through it. We're getting to presentations. I know we're going to try to get those going soon. Let's go to resolutions. 6.1, National Native American Heritage Month. Trustee Inman.
be it resolved by the South Orange County Community College District Board of Trustees that the month of November is designated as National Native American Heritage Month, and the students, staff, and faculty of both Irvine Valley College and Saddleback College are called upon to observe the month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. Can we have a motion, please?
So move.
Second.
Motion from trustee Milchker, second from trustee Dack. Let's go ahead and vote on the resolution.
President Jamal, we haven't signed these yet. We haven't seen them, just as a matter,
The certificates one?
the certificates?
Oh.
Okay,
Yeah, they are.
we'll start. Thank you.
I just said yes, it didn't go in.
We can do it. There's only 5 of
Yeah,
us.
it went, yeah.
Did everyone vote?
Mine never, oh, yeah.
The resolution carries unanimously on a 5-0 trustee yes vote and a student trustee yes vote. 6.2.
6.2, Filipino American History Month. Whereas this is an appropriate time to promote and reflect on the richness of Filipino and Filipino American history and culture, and to provide all Americans with the opportunities to learn, appreciate, and honor Filipino Americans and their history and social contributions to the history of the United States. Be it resolved that the South Orange County Community College District hereby recognize October, I think that's supposed to say November, each year as Filipino American History Month. May we have a motion?
So move.
Motion from trustee Milchker,
Second.
second from trustee Dack. Let's go ahead and vote on the resolution. The resolution carries on a unanimous trustee yes vote and a student advisory yes vote. My screen is in a different position. There we go. All right. We're now on to 7.0, 7.1, trustee requests for attending conferences. Do we have a motion?
So move.
Motion from trustee Milchiker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from trustee Dack. Any questions? Okay, let's vote on the item. The Item carries on a unanimous trustee yes vote and a student trustee yes vote. 7.2, board member compensation.
So move.
Motion from trustee Milchiker,
Second?
second from trustee Dack.
You'll need to unlock your iPhone first.
Sorry. Before we vote, I wanted to just make a comment to make sure that the public is aware. This is compensation for us as trustees. And maybe the chancellor can give an explanation, but there is a set of criteria that's put in place that sets the trustee compensation, which in essence is a monthly stipend for serving as a trustee. And just for the sake of transparency, this would increase that monthly stipend, I believe, from $400 a month to $750 a month. But if you want to give an explanation as to what triggers what level of stipend.
Sure. So this is outlined in California Education Code 72024, which sets the maximum compensation for board members. And it's based on full-time equivalent students. And as we know, our colleges have been experiencing wonderful growth with regard to student enrollment, which is indicative of new students, but also really great work with regard to equitable success as well in retaining our students. And so the 750 threshold, if we hit 25,000 FTES or more, it triggers the whopping $750 a month. So the board members will move from 400, as mentioned, to 750 per month.
And also, we should mention the student trustee stipend will increase as well.
They get half of what's.
Correct. So with that, I think it's important to be transparent on any level of compensation, whether it's big or small. And so this is being considered now. I think we have a motion in a second, and then let's go ahead and vote on the item. The item carries on a unanimous trustee yes vote and a student trustee yes vote. 7.3, board policy revision for review and study. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion from trustee Prendergast, second from trustee Milchiker. Any questions? No? Let's vote on the item. The item carries on a unanimous trustee yes vote and a student trustee yes vote. And finally, 7.4, board policy revision for approval. Do we have a motion?
So move.
Motion from trustee Milchiker,
Second?
second from trustee Dack. Any questions? Okay, let's vote on the item.
Could you send it again? I want to vote yes.
The item carries on a 4-1.
No, I voted yes.
Oh.
It was a mistake.
Well, you can revise your vote, I think.
Yeah,
Can you go in and do that?
I was trying to bring it back, but it didn't come back. Have you got it? Okay, thanks.
Okay, it's noted.
Yeah.
That is a unanimous trustee yes vote with a student trustee yes vote. All right, we're now on to our presentations. I think we're going to go to 8.2 first, which is the presentation and acceptance of the district, ATEP, our foundations, the districts, IVCs, and Saddleback College Foundation's audit and review reports. And are we going to do an introduction here? Vice Chancellor Gable?
Yes, I can. So we have our external auditors with us from Eide Bailey. I think going to kick it off for us is Rick Alonso, who's a partner with the firm.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. A few weeks back, we met with the audit committee and we went over all the reports in a much more greater detail than I will go over tonight. I'll just hit the major areas of the reports, and if there's any questions, feel free to ask any questions. I brought Anna here, who's the manager on engagement, to answer all the hard questions for you guys. As auditors, and I'll start with the district audit. As auditors, the scope of our audit is to give 3 opinions. We give an opinion on the financial statements. In addition to that, since you guys are a governmental agency, we give an opinion on federal compliance as well as state compliance. I don't go over a lot of the pages in the report. The one page I do like to go over is page 103. You don't need I could give you the recap of that page. It's called the Summary of Auditor Results. I like to say it's basically the district's report card for this fiscal year. Within that page, it lists the 3 major opinions that we do give. For financial statements, the district received an unmodified opinion. An unmodified opinion is the cleanest opinion we can give as auditors, and it states that the financial statements are fairly stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. I'd like to also note that the district received a clean opinion without any audit adjustments, so we didn't recommend any changes to the financial statements to district management. For federal awards, the district also received an unmodified opinion, so the district met all the federal compliance requirements which we're required to test for this fiscal year. And then for state compliance, each year the state chancellor's office will give us a laundry list of items to review. And I'm happy to report that we also issued an unmodified clean opinion, so the district met all the state compliance requirements which we're required to test. And then starting on page 104 is our findings and recommendations. And if you look on those pages, they're blank pages. Auditors always get the perception of being negative people, and there's a good reason why. We're not allowed to give positive assurance. So auditors are only allowed to give negative assurance. So when you see a blank page from an auditor, that's a good sign. It means that we didn't have any findings for this fiscal year. So just to recap the district report, the district received all clean, unmodified opinions without any findings and recommendations. With the rest of the reports, we do the 2 college foundations, as well as a district foundation, and the facilities corporation as well. Within all those reports, the district received all clean, unmodified opinions. And when all those reports, we didn't have any findings or recommendations to report to the board. One last thing I'd like to let the board know. We are required to let the board know if we had any difficulties encountered during the course of the audit, any disagreements with management. I'm happy to say for all the reports that we did do, we didn't have any of those issues. When we come out, the district is always well prepared, as well as the colleges. They give us our information in a timely manner, and we didn't have any issues while we were looking at all the audits for this fiscal year. So at this time, I could answer any questions that anyone might have with the audit reports.
Well, thank you for that succinct presentation. We appreciate that. I'd like to ask, in particular, anyone from the audit subcommittee, if they have anything to say.
Yes, actually, as chair, I would like to thank the firm for the thorough job they did, and the staff that made it easy for you, or easier. Richard Kudek is, of course, our internal auditor that helped with that, and Anne Marie and everyone, Trustee Dack and Trustee Rydell, who are also on the subcommittee. It's always nice to get good news.
Yeah, and just to comment with the district having the audit committee, I think that's a great forum. Not a lot of districts do have that, and I just think it's a great opportunity to have that where, you know, the board could ask as many questions as they want and get a kind of understanding of what we do as auditors. So I think it's just a great forum that you guys have put in place.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you for your report and update. Thank you to the 3 subcommittee members for serving the audit committee and doing a good job, and to Richard and to the team and fiscal services as well. So I think that's it for you this evening. I believe we need to vote on acceptance of this, correct? So we need a motion and a second.
So move.
Motion from Trustee Milchiker.
Second.
Second from Trustee Dack. I think we've asked the questions or provided the comments, so let's go ahead and vote on the item. The audits are accepted unanimously on a 5-0 trustee yes vote and a student trustee yes vote. Thank you again very much.
Thank you guys. Have a great rest of the meeting.
Have a good evening. I think we're going to move to legislative. Yeah, we're going to have our legislative update right now. 8.1. And Letitia, are you going to introduce the item?
Just really quickly.
Okay.
Good evening, honorable trustees. It's an honor to present to you Casey Elliott, who's the Vice President of Townsend Public Affairs. They represent us at the state and federal level. I know we're all happy to be on the other side of the election and the legislative session. So he's going to give us a full recap and also a little bit of a preview of what we can consider for legislative priorities for the next session in the next year. Casey?
Thank you. As was noted, Casey Elliott, Vice President with Townsend Public Affairs. I will briefly try to provide an update of what's happened in 2024, as well as a brief look ahead to 2025 at both the state and federal levels. Just jumping right in, the state this year was kind of what I would consider a relatively normal bill load. This year, the legislature introduced just over 2,100 bills, and about 1,200 of those made it down to the governor, who ultimately signed just over 1,000 and vetoed 189, which may not sound like a lot, but just over 15%. That is one of the higher veto rates that this governor's had in his tenure. A lot of vetoes this year were based on overall state budget conditions, just legislature passing bills that cost money that weren't incorporated in the budget. So that was a strong theme that we saw throughout the year. Including, I would say that the state budget deficit was one of the defining items related to community college legislation this year. With the significant state budget deficit that the legislature and administration were grappling with, there really wasn't a lot of resources that were able to be provided towards new programming. The biggest bulk that we saw was $60 million for nursing. Even that came through the Strong Workforce Program, so it wasn't necessarily new money per se. Additionally, this year, the legislature spent a lot of time talking about baccalaureate degrees, particularly as it relates to nursing, SB 895 and AB 2104, which would have established baccalaureate degree in nursing programs at, I think, ultimately at 10 community college districts throughout the state. Those were probably the largest policy bills that were considered that ultimately moved through the legislature, and were then both bills were vetoed by the governor. Given the budgetary constraints, a lot of the other legislation that was considered this year, I don't want to say was minor, because that's not quite accurate, but it was a lot of similar themes that we've seen: career pathways, moving students through elementary into community colleges, then on to the workforce or four-year institutions. So CCAP legislation, things along those lines. Also more conversations related to student housing, basic needs. Ultimately, there was not a statewide housing bond placed on the ballot, so housing continues to be an ongoing need, and some of the student housing for UC and CSU was incorporated into other state-level funding. The district itself took positions on about 7 new bills that doesn't consider bills that were held over from the 2-year session, such as the education bond, spanning a number of different topics. I won't go through all of these, but I would point out that the district, I thought, was very well represented. President Stern did a great job up in Sacramento speaking on AB 1818, which can be a delicate subject, explaining the district's opposition while wanting to increase, housing security for students, and I thought did a really great job on that. District supported a number of efforts that were spearheaded by the state chancellor's office, including AB 1885 and AB 1891, which were ultimately signed into law. And then I know that Chancellor Barnes was up in Sacramento many times this year speaking on SB 895 related to the nursing baccalaureate program, so lots of conversations there.
Casey, just a point of clarification. We have it, it says AB 1885 twice, and so I think it was AB 1818, which we did not support.
Correct, yeah, and I apologize. That's corrected on the version on the screen here, so I apologize. That's,
okay.
Yes, the
Mine
18,
is not corrected. Okay.
AB 1818, Jackson was an opposed position, not AB 1885, the original one. that bill was supported, but AB 1818, thank you, was opposed. And along those lines, on bills that were opposed, AB 2888 was a reintroduction of legislation related to hiring preferences. That bill was also vetoed. And then SB 1388, which would have created a cap on the level of reserve funds that community colleges could have. That bill was held in Senate Appropriations. So ultimately, most of the outcomes, most of the positions that the district took aligned well with the outcomes. The two notable ones on AB 2093 was vetoed for budgetary reasons, and then AB 1895, the nursing bill, was also vetoed. As it pertains to specific activity, working with the district, with the chancellor, with Letitia on developing identifying bills, developing position letters, communicating those to offices, committees, working with staff, testifying at committees, all of those activities. Also working to help set up meetings and taking advantage of everyone's time while they are up in Sacramento. Would definitely encourage anyone when you're in town, please let me know. Would love to make a full day, set up meetings, or just give you a quiet space to work. Also, continue to work collaboratively with the Orange County Community College Legislative Task Force, which the district is now sponsoring in this session. So working to provide all of the districts with information related to relevant state and federal actions, and then also supporting the district's legislative committee. As we look forward at the state level, there's going to be a couple of themes that we're going to be looking towards. The state budget will continue to be a theme going into this next year, though hopefully it should be in a more positive light. As year to date, the state has collected about $3.5 billion in net revenue more than they were projected at this time. I always have to throw the caveat that we're very early into the fiscal year, and kind of the primary revenue generating months of December, March, and April are still ahead of us, but so far so good. Even with a budget surplus right now, I would anticipate the Newsom administration will still be conservative in their January budget proposals, not wanting to create significant new ongoing programs while there's still some revenue uncertainty. Though the opportunity may arise at the state again, given a positive budget situation for specific district level process funding projects, which we've seen in previous good years of budgets and it was not included in last year's budget. Those tend to be based on overall state revenue, so that we may see that surface again. As we look at the legislature as a whole, while there's still 4 or 5 races statewide that are too close to call, the overall membership of the legislature should stay about the same as we saw this year. We will have the returning speaker, we will have the returning Senate President Pro Tem, so there should be that level of continuity at the state legislature. However, given term limits and members running for other offices, we will see approximately a 25% turnover in total membership of the legislature. So that's going to lead to new committee membership, new committee chairs, vice chairs, new local representatives. So while there is that overall balance of a Democratic supermajority, we will be dealing with a lot of new faces in Sacramento. And then also it is notable that we are entering the final 2-year legislative session that Governor Newsom will be is governor. So as such, we'd look for this to be the session that if he has any big ideas or any big legislative accomplishments that he wants to achieve, that we would look for those to be introduced in this session as well. As we look at policy considerations for community colleges, I do anticipate we'll see some reintroductions of bills that we saw this year. Notably, I think we'll see the nursing baccalaureate degree bill likely reintroduced. There was a lot of momentum gained on that bill last year, and I think that in speaking with Assemblymember Soria's office, who was the author of the Assembly measure, I think there's interest in continuing to see if they can make headway on that this year. We will likely be looking at potentially one new committee chair. As I don't need to tell you guys here, Senator Newman is currently trailing in results. While that does have obviously local implications for the Senate seat, as it pertains to community college legislation, he's the chair of the Senate Senate Education Committee. So if he is unsuccessful and Assemblymember Choi holds on to the lead that he has, then we would be looking at a new Senate Education Committee chair. Mr. Newman was a new chair last session, so this would be the third chair in the last 3 years effectively. So we just have that level of continuity, depending upon who gets chosen, their level of familiarity with community college issues versus K-12 issues versus UC or CSU issues may just be a dynamic that we'll have to deal with. And then largely, I think a lot of this session, both on the higher education side as well as overall, we'll see a lot of legislation in response or in anticipation of federal actions. We saw this the last time the Trump administration was in power in DC, in that Governor Newsom and the legislature will try to take legal actions, regulatory actions, legislative actions, and to insulate themselves as much as they can. So unclear as to what that will look like at this point, but the governor has already called a special session to convene concurrently with the regular session to start dealing with issues of federal legislation. Moving to the federal side, I should note that this year we did obviously have the Biden administration, a Democratic Senate, and a House, Republican-led House, which kind of in and of itself led to a bit more stalemates. So we didn't see a lot of legislation moving through. Some areas of focus that were discussed this year included workforce development, Pell, student debt relief, immigration, and DACA. So there were some items that we didn't see a lot of legislation move. We did see a lot of administrative action in some of these areas, but not a lot to point to as far as specific legislation goes. As it relates to work on behalf of the district, our office did work with the two colleges, IVC and Saddleback, and their administrations to put forth 5 federal earmark requests this year through the two senators' offices. Happy to say that all 5 of those projects were advanced by the senators. I thought the projects were very well put together, they're very well thought out. Those moved through, they were spread out over a number of bills. Unfortunately, California senators did not fare very well in the Senate appropriations process this year. None of the district's projects were selected by the Appropriations Committee. So ultimately, I believe that the 2 senators had 2 total projects included in 2 higher education projects included in LHHS. And I think the success rate of projects submitted under THUD was right around 5%. So I would not take that as a reflection of any of the projects or any of the work that was put in by the district or college staff. It was just a tough year for California all around on those. Our DC team also worked with the district staff to conduct a couple of advocacy trips, including around ACCT National Summit, as well as an advocacy trip with students when they came out surrounding the ASACC conference. I want to be respectful of time. Looking forward, Congress still has a lame duck session that they'll be working on at the end of this year. That's largely going to focus on wrapping up the appropriations process. With the new incoming Trump administration and changes within Congress, it is quite possible that Congress will look to just extend the continuing resolution that they're operating under. Current continuing resolution runs through December 20th. There is conversation that Speaker Johnson wants to push that out until March, until the new administration takes office. So we'll be dealing with that here at the end of the lame duck session. And then moving forward, while we may not have resolution on the FY25 budget until early next year, we will also then begin the FY26 process. Early indications are that there will still be an appropriations process. The House Republican conference has opted not to include any type of an earmark moratorium, which is where we would expect to see that come from. So it does bode well for congressionally directed spending to be included in next year's budget, though with the new Republican control of the Senate and the House, we will need to see kind of the rules that apply on that. As we look forward to policy issues that could be worked on next year, I think that we're going to be looking at things like higher education reauthorization, WIOA reauthorization, workforce Pell. I think the areas surrounding workforce training, apprenticeships. Those are going to be some of the areas where you might see some commonality and some consensus can be reached between the Republicans, Democrats, and DC. And then obviously going into next year, the policy considerations of a new administration, Republican-held Congress, figuring out what's going to transition from campaign talk to actual legislative activity, and then what of that can be done, particularly through the Senate, moving through the reconciliation process, which would thereby bypass the filibuster. So looking at things like tax extension, IIJA, just some other items like that. So again, we'll kind of have to navigate through some of those dynamics. So even though Republicans will control both houses of Congress and the presidency, there still may be some stalemate in moving legislation through. And then, with that, I would just, the only other thing I would note is that we will, from California, have not only a new senator with Adam Schiff, who, while he will be a freshman senator, does obviously carry some congressional seniority. So on things like earmarks, there may be a little bit more positive news on that. And then obviously the new local representative and Representative Min, getting him up to speed on various federal issues, not that he's not familiar with the district from a local standpoint, but getting him up to speed on that, and then also those federal priorities. So with that, I am happy to answer any questions, state, federal. Looking forward, looking back.
Thank you, Casey. Of course. I'll open it up for questions. Trustee Prendergast.
I have several. First off, going back to the state level, can I get a little bit of an explanation on 1818? Because just based on its title, I thought it was something we actually do here in our district. And why would we be opposed to it as I don't know the details of it.
It's a really good reason, and I think President Stern could really explain that well.
Thank you, Chancellor Barnes. Appreciate the question. This bill came from good places in people's hearts to let people park in their cars in our parking lots, though by mandate in this case, not by the choice of the college. A pilot was to be done with selected colleges to have a mandate to participate without any funding. So unlike Walmart or the train station opening up their parking lots, we fall under Title IX and Clery. So for us to do so safely, we would have to have 24-hour security. The cost of that security, that is 24-hour policing for that area, for each college in the state of California was estimated at somewhere between $250,000 and $500,000. That's about the amount we currently spend on doing hostel stays and Airbnb vouchers for our students, which we believe is actually a better solution to put a roof over somebody's head than a car, which is really just one step above passing out tents. Finally, one other thing to add is that we both, at both colleges, treat students who are homeless or acutely homeless or to prevent homeless holistically, because a student who is homeless also has food needs, clothing needs, technology needs. And if we keep them in their cars, we can't address those other needs. So getting them to come into our basic needs centers means that we can address those other needs at the same time. Those are all the reasons we did not support the parking lot bill as it is called.
Okay, thank you. That's excellent. And then could you maybe talk a little bit about the passage of Prop 2 and how that's going to benefit us?
Yeah, so Proposition 2 has passed by the voters, so that measure, through its many iterations, ultimately ended up with at $10 billion. Of that, the community college portion is $1.5 billion. That will essentially go into the existing capital outlay program administered by the state Board of Governors and State Chancellor's office. That prioritizes health and safety projects, but it'll go through the existing capital outlay process, which in which the State Chancellor's office will solicit projects from all the districts, evaluate those based on a set of criteria, and then based on the overall ranking of those projects, the funding ultimately gets programmed out through the state budget. First for planning and then for construction and implementation. So typically the projects that are funded on that get funded over a 3 fiscal year cycle. But it's all, again, based on scoring that's done at the state level community colleges.
All right, thank you. And then on the federal level, could you maybe speak to, are we doing anything? It came to my attention last week that the House passed a WEP GPO bill, which is great news for educators who have contributed 40 credits to Social Security and would not be able to benefit from that because of something that was done in a previous administration many years ago. But I know that would benefit our professors and some of our staff. So are we doing anything to help move that through the Senate, or is it not necessarily technically considered a community college issue?
I would have to check with our DC team on my colleagues on that. I'm not as familiar with that bill. On the list of things that are kind of contemplated for the lame duck session here at the end, that is not on my radar, but let me get back through the chancellor's office. I can get you a better answer on that.
Great. And then finally, just throw it out there publicly. I will probably be coming to DC area the 17th to the 21st of March.
Perfect.
So I'll work with Letitia on a day where I can break away from my family trip to a non-family portion.
Perfect. That sounds great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for your Casey? I had one. So you touched on the nursing baccalaureate legislation and the veto by the governor. So drilling down a little bit more, Casey, what needs to happen for us to be successful? Is it a different kind of coalition? Is it more co-authors? Or is the governor dug in on this? I didn't read the veto message. Was there a veto message on this?
There was a veto message, and it read very similar to a lot of the CSU concerns. So of wanting to increase the number of nurses that are put into the pipeline, however, stressing more collaborations between CSU and community colleges as opposed to the creation of standalone programs at community colleges. To your question, I think that there should be an expansion of the coalition, and I think that much of that would be political. So I think having additional engagement from groups such as the Nursing Association, Hospital Association, some of those that would benefit by having more nurses put into the pipeline, I think would be very helpful. Ultimately, I think there just also needs to be some additional conversations and collaboration in between the CSU Chancellor's Office and the Community College Chancellor's Office. I think having some dialogues between those, so there's I don't say a better understanding, but maybe able to reach a mutual understanding of what the objectives are from everyone. Because I think when I read things like the CSU's objection, it seems like they're getting more into headcount and funding, and as opposed to really focusing more on putting more people into giving them skills for needed fields. So I think that there'll be a little bit of the above, both. I think there'll be more stakeholders, more engagement, but then also probably fine tuning some messaging and figuring out maybe if there's a sweet spot to move CSU to maybe a softer opposition, to say. Love to move them to neutral. I don't know that they come to a support position, but getting them to a little softer spot might be good, might be helpful.
Can we get them there?
There was a fierce advocacy effort this year, and there was a lot of hope. I think folks were surprised that both bills were vetoed, and I think there's a lot of work happening now behind the scenes. This week, I know Trustee Inman and a team of folks from our district will be going to the Community College League of California convention, and there's going to be a lot of talk about this bill. So not just during the conference, but moving forward. So there's, I think, some new political strategies that need to be employed that perhaps they weren't employed before. So.
Okay. Overall, yeah, I thought it was a good presentation. I do follow very closely what's going on at the state and federal levels through the other work I do. So I think it was an pretty accurate assessment. A couple other points. There are two other close races. One is at the congressional level. So that's a very close race between the incumbent, Michelle Steele, and Derek Tran. So I don't know if that will impact us that much, but there is a state level race that's also close, though a distance seems like it may be close to being over, the Lori Davies against Chris Duncan.
Yeah, I think overall, I think there's still, at the legislative level, there's 4 that are still technically too close to call. I don't know how many of those are going to ultimately change, but I think on the both on the Assembly and Senate, I think the Democrats are 1 below where they stood going into the election. So kind of trying to read some tea leaves, I think they'll be at a probably approximate. I should have also noted with there will be a special election with Janet Nguyen being elected to the Board of Supervisors, so the 36th, while not up for an election, naturally on this cycle, the district will be having a vacancy in that seat for a couple of months while that special election is held.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Oh,
Sorry, thank you, Casey. Just one moment, President Jamal, I wanted to, for you all to take note of the legislative priorities, that there's a draft before you. And so the legislative subcommittee of the board weighed in on some of those items. So we have draft state and federal legislative priorities, a lot of what you kind of already talked about today. So when you have a moment, review them, give me some feedback. We hope to have this finalized at least by January before we do those Sacramento visits. And then we usually go to DC in February. So the goal is to have this as a final document before then. Even in drafting the entire booklet, some of those positions are vacant, as we mentioned with Senator Nguyen, about to leave her position. And so there's some other TBDs in the report. So we hope to have that all finalized by January. But if you can review it and just give me some feedback and input before finalized in January, that'd be great. Okay. Thank you.
thank you, Letitia. We will. We'll look at that. Thanks again for the presentation. All right, now we're going to our final presentation of the evening, 8.3, Career Education Update.
Thank you.
Well, good evening. Thank you for allowing us here. We won't take too much time. We got 35 minutes or so left, so no, I'm kidding. We both of us, both Saddleback and IVC, would like to first start with a thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to share the hard work of both campuses since last spring to now. Couple points before we jump into it. The Vision 2030, which most of us are aware of from the State Chancellor's Office, and our own strategic planning, which is aligning, does call out for a plan for equity, success, and a strong alignment with workforce. So we are in line with what we are doing and will continue to move forward. The key components of Vision 2030 are the success, completions, access, broadening opportunities for people to come in, individuals, and the support in many ways, with a few key strategic directions. One of them, again, being equitable workforce and economic development, particularly around STEM, healthcare, education pathways, as far as like a teacher prep pathway, and climate sustainability. So we appreciate the opportunities to speak to this because we are in alignment with what is happening in the state for us and our students. First, I'm gonna start with IVC's new programs since we last were here. Quite a while ago, it feels like. But this is what's new since the spring term going forward. What you're going to see are collaborative efforts, both regionally and locally. First, on IVC, the non-credit bridge programs. These are collaborative efforts on a region level with the Coastline ROP group, also supported through the CAPE, which is California Adult Education Program, who helps support our students to develop healthcare pathways for English language learners. And what the courses you see here, the healthcare pathways ELL, are English for pharmacy tech and English for EMT. These are, again, I mentioned a collaborative program where it's collaboration with the Coastline ROP faculty and our faculty, our AESL faculty, to develop curriculum. This curriculum is done concurrently with the classroom portion. The ROP program provides a lot of the Pharm Tech or EMT coursework materials, and where our adult ESL faculty are coming in and contextualizing the English portions behind this. Also, you'll see here is English for dental assisting. These programs have proven to be successful, and they are expanding it to a dental assisting program starting this spring as well. Also, I'd like to have the opportunity for not only the bridge programs, but both our certificate in AAA and AS degree programs. There are two that kind of blend over into one another, the game design and interactive media arts, both the certificate and AA, and then also the public health is the AA degree as well. The curriculum emphasis on the game design is for emerging technologies and virtual and augmented realities. These are also in line with Vision 2030, once again, as one of their other directives, in order to meet the job market needs, and then the public health, contemporary health issues. So these are a few of these programs that we brought in. On a quick side note, it's not here. I also want to mention our K-14 pathways. Our K-14 pathways are in alignment with much of our health programs already and a lot of our CTE. And these are starting with roughly 13 new programs in the last year with IUSD and TUSD as well. These start with our dual enrollment program. Some are grant funded as well. Dual enrollment pathways, pipelines coming to IVC in this manner as well. So these are just a few of what has happened and what's continuing to happen behind the scenes. Now I turn it over to my counterpart.
So for Saddleback, you'll notice over the last few years, what we've been focusing on is looking at our certificate programs that lead students into entry-level positions. And we've been moving those programs into our non-credit curriculum in addition to the credit. And part of the reason why is we're trying to increase access, and we're doing that through these non-credit bridge programs. What it allows students to do is they're able to move into our curriculum at a very, at a level that's not as risky or, challenging, and allows them to kind of go into academic programs to begin with, and then they move into our credit programs. The other thing that it allows us to do is it also allows us to get additional funding for the non-credit program so that we can better support that pathway. You'll notice on our list we have the healthcare pathways, which we started this last year, the community health worker, and then we're also building out our EMT non-credit program. We have our cosmetology pathways that we move from credit to non-credit, again, just as a way of increasing access for students. And in that pathway, we also have barbering, esthetician, and manicuring. In our workplace business pathways, we started a nonprofit business administration program. We have our IT network and help desk programs. And then in our automotive transportation pathways, we also have our bus operator commercial learner's permit. You'll notice in our certificate and associate's degree, we've been working to revamp our health information technology program. So it'll be now be incorporating our public health informatics and technology. And then in our transfer program, you'll notice that we've been working on increasing our associate's degree for transfers. And again, this is in an effort to try and make the transition for our students who are transferring a little bit easier. So I'll go ahead and hand it back to Rick to go more detail.
A little bit more. Thank you. It's all right. Okay. Thank you. Again, I'm going to keep with the theme of the Vision 2030, the alignment, the strategic planning, both at the district level and at both colleges. This last spring, the Chancellor's Office, the System Office, and the United Domestic Workers came together and partnered to help support many of their thousands and thousands of workers that are in the field. Many of these positions are lower waged positions. And through this, there's going to be a sense of career development through work-based learning and working towards increased wages and such. Right. Now, this opportunity, we are IVC part of cohort 2, which will begin this spring. And those initial programs we're looking at are early childhood education, 2 in information technologies, 1 business information worker and networking, and then lastly in paralegal. This is a program that will, I would say, revolutionize many of the UDW workers. They're life-changing. They receive support around laptops, bus passes, food. They receive case management and more. And we receive locally the individuals in this region who are eligible for the programming, where we will work with local representatives and contact them directly. So it'll be an active recruitment of these individuals. Now, similarly, what you'll see on the second panel to the right is our adult English as a second language alignment with workforce needs. Again, the alignment piece with workforce. Another collaborative example at IVC of our non-credit programming and our faculty creating pathways or opportunities and support courses towards the credit programs. So what you see here is our non-credit AESL faculty creating courses, English Professional Communication, Human Development, Paralegal, Computer Information, that are support courses to aid our students in moving from the non-credit to credit, creating a pipeline to credit, and hopefully that pipeline helps increase their job capabilities going forward. This collaboration is also something that in the last few weeks, our ASL and credit faculty held what we call an ASL Discovery Career Paths, which allowed our ASL faculty to bring somewhere upwards of 100 of their students currently in class and meet with our faculty in entrepreneurship, computer information management, real estate, and our career center was there to help support, to show the pipeline moving through. So in essence, what you're seeing is a shift from not solely language acquisition at IVC, but a shift to credit career pathways preparation. So we look forward to seeing what comes forward next.
So to go into a little bit more detail about Saddleback and our vision in working to build bridge programs, I'm showcasing for you here an example of our School of Health and Wellness and how we're building it into our program to support adult learners. Similar to IVC, we are a part of the UDW, United Domestic Workers Cohort 1. So we've been working with the union group already. What's really novel about this particular partnership is that we actually are able to bring our programs to adult learners where they're at as part of a union group. And what we've been able to build out with our School of Health and Wellness, and we'll be doing this with all of our schools here on the campus, but showcasing just for today's the health and wellness pathway. We have the United Domestic Workers going into our non-credit program. A lot of them are English language learners, as Rick has shared, like the IVC program. We pair our adult ed program along with the health pathways, and we're providing instruction in our CNA. We're looking at also expanding that to acute care nursing as well. And then they're going into any of these paths that we might have that would kind of increase their ability to upward move into other programs. For some of the UDW students, we they already have degrees, and so they may go into other certification programs or associate degree programs directly. And so you'll notice that when we're working with this particular group, the student's able to come in either at the non-credit level, credit, or actually going into some of our transfer programs. what's very unique about the UDW structure is we also have that case management in partnership with their union group to help support the students. And it's what I kind of compare it to is it's almost like working with our high schools where we're able to go to the students and introduce them to our college and our programs. We are also looking at using this model to then work with additional nonprofits in our area. We are currently discussing with the rescue mission that's right next to ATEP on building out a similar model with their programs. They also have students right across the street from us at ATEP. They serve about 230 adults and kids in that area, in just that location. And so we're hoping to expand and build a similar partnership with, like we have with UDW with that nonprofit. And then we'll continue to look for other nonprofits that also serve adult learners so that we can expand this particular program pathway.
Okay, thank you. And then lastly, but not to take anything away, this is the future. We've been talking about what has been happening since the last couple terms, but these are the future opportunities to continue to keep the eye on workforce demand. Again, aligned with Vision 2030 and the increase in workforce demand, also through the Center of Excellence regionally, who will look at labor market data. They also look at potential positions, jobs that are open in the region. They also look at impacts of programs that already exist. And through their efforts, will essentially approve or not approve any programs in the area, so to reduce competition, but to show that there is a need. In doing so, we engaged the Center of Excellence to look at several programs. And also, I want to thank the Faculty Senate, at Academic Senate at IVC, to engage in the conversations to explore which programs meet these criteria. And now we are continuing to move through for the exploration and to move towards the idea of what would it take to develop the programs, working in conjunction with our faculty in this. And the list you can see below, from medical equipment technology all the way through physical therapy assistant, respiratory technician. There's a series of them, but also what's important, some of these programs will be built for credit and some for non-credit as well as we continue to explore. Similarly, what you can see through both campuses and the statewide is the opportunity to reduce barriers or increase broader access. And by increasing this access, one way is to reduce the costs of education and bring our students into the non-credit programming. And yet, as we heard earlier, and still get our funding is still at a level that helps support going to the non-credit. Not only will you see some of these programs be explored for development at IVC main campus, but also looking towards the kind of reimagining portions of the IDEA building to bring some of these programs in there. So thank you.
As we look into the future development for programs at Saddleback, you'll notice we're still continuing our work on the transfer end and trying to bring in all of the potential AATs and ASTs that we have from the state. We actually have about 2 more programs that we're going to be working on, and that should complete our list of ADTs in the future until they build more. You'll also see that we have our health analytics. That's an expansion of our new health information technology program. And we're looking at building out surgical tech and physical therapy assistant. And just so you're aware, the physical therapy assistant program takes quite a bit of time in order to develop. In 2022, we were able to secure 1 of 4 spots for us to submit an application in November of 2027. That's how long it takes us to build the program. And once we're able to submit that application in 2027, we'll have a site visit and a decision on whether or not we can then start the program in April of 2028. And so the earliest we'll be able to have students participate in our physical therapy assistant program will be the summer of 2028. Part of the exciting thing about these programs that we're bringing on is we're looking at, of course, our, working with our academic senate leadership to expand into the baccalaureate program. One of the challenges is we want to find a baccalaureate program that would help students to elevate within that profession. And as we look at programs that would actually require baccalaureates, some of these new programs we're bringing on could help build that potential for additional baccalaureate programs here on our campus. Our goal is always to identify a program that really has workforce demand to be at that level. And one of the conditions to do a baccalaureate is that you have to have an existing program already in place. And so our academic senate is working in partnership with us to identify those opportunities right now. We do believe that these new programs will expand that option as we go forward. And then, of course, nursing. Your question earlier on what we can do. Right now, we're working really collaboratively with our CSU partners. They're looking at us to try and build partnerships with them. And so we are engaging in that work. You'll be seeing an MOU with our CSU San Marcos for a dual enrollment baccalaureate program. We'll continue to do that as a kind of gesture of working and supporting their efforts in expanding their programs as well. But we do feel that there is a need statewide to expand ours too. So we look forward to that opportunity when it becomes available. So that's it for our presentation. We're open for questions.
Thank you both. You traversed a lot of territory in that presentation. We appreciate it. Any questions from the trustees? Trustee Melchiker.
Just a few questions. I noticed like thank you, it's a good program. And I like the idea of having the students move from non-credit into a credit program so they can get their degree and go on to a baccalaureate degree. We're teaching English. We're going to be teaching English to farm tech, dental assistant, and let's see, there was one other program, and the dental tech, and I guess those actual programs are being taught by Coast ROP, but I think we are considering also offering dental assistant program as well. So would that be in addition to Coast ROP program?
I will say that our AESL is continuing to work with all of our credit faculty to look for these opportunities. And having the chance to work with Coastline starting last year and moving forward kind of sets the model of what can be done. And through that exploration and showing possibilities, you have already seen what I mentioned earlier, increases in these other areas. So specifically to your question, would we add? Possibly. Are we going to continue to grow and look for all opportunities where we can support our programs? Definitely. So you will continue to see the growth of these throughout the entire campus.
I mean, I think, offering our students ways to get jobs today in this world is really important. And the idea, allied health jobs, I could think of even more than you have here. You've got a very good number of allied health careers here, but I could even think of more. With an aging population, this is a great need in our community, and these students should be able to get jobs. So I think that's a really good idea. And we already teach kinesiology at Saddleback College. So is this an additional program?
We're updating our program to be more relevant.
Okay.
So, I do want to add, Trustee Miltiker, part of our strategy to working with adult learners is that we do have a group of adult learners that are English language learners. And part of our effort, both IVC and Saddleback, in pairing our ESL classes with these different allied health programs is to help bridge that language barrier. So a lot of our efforts are really to increase access and address barriers that students are facing as they enter into the programs.
Absolutely. Thank you. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions from the trustees?
Very interesting.
No, I thought you did an excellent job. I think the way you've identified opportunities in the future is very good. I mean, personally, I've spent many years with, well, first of all, I'm glad to see the partnership with UDW. Very familiar with UDW. I spent many years advocating on behalf of home care workers throughout the state of California. And they're amazing people. I've been in many homes with them to see the work that they do. And it's remarkable. And their resiliency and the hard work they put in at very low pay is one of some of the most remarkable people I've ever had a chance to work with. And I've been around the state with them before, different county boards of supervisors in Sacramento, countless times on their behalf. So I'm glad to see that budding partnership with UDW. So, no other comments, and thank you both again.
All right, thank you.
There's two other programs I think we have.
Okay, we're now moving on to our consent calendar. Are there any polls from trustees?
Yeah, there was one. Let me see which one it was.
Which one?
I'm trying to see which one it was. I'm looking. Just to make one comment about it, not to. Yeah, number 9.5.
Okay, 9.5. Any other polls? Do you want to move the balance of the items, trustee Milchiker?
Yeah, move the balance of the items.
Okay, do you have a second?
Second.
Second, trustee Dack, let's vote.
Not here. There's nothing on here to vote. I haven't done anything, and there's nothing on here to vote.
Are you on the right screen?
Yeah, I'm on the right screen. Hello. Okay, thank you.
There's a voting screen. Don't you have that too?
No, I don't.
That's right, you don't have it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
The consent calendar, with the exception of item 9.5, is approved unanimously by the trustees with the student trustee yes vote. Now we're back to 9.5. Trustee Milchiker.
I just want to point it out to everyone, one of the incredibly wonderful programs our colleges offer. I think this was mentioned prior to this by our student body president, Saddleback College student body president, and this is the second time we're doing this, but we're sending, China is funding the whole program, and we're sending 28 students on a research project trip to Tangshan, China. I think that's a pretty incredible thing, and I really think this is really, I remember when my son was attending Saddleback College. He had an opportunity to take he took Japanese here the whole year, and he had an opportunity to take a student trip to Japan, which was the same thing, and he was able to study in Japan for a while. So this is a great opportunity for all of our students. So just thought I'd mention that. I move this item.
Item 9.5 is moved. Is there a second?
Second, but I have a question or a comment.
Okay. Trustee, there's a second. Trustee Prendergast, no comment.
It's my type A brain, but you have a column that says total cost, and then on one item it's 400 per student, and then the other it's a total cost. Is it possible to separate out like what it is per student and then how that's being covered? Like, because it's obvious that one is, it looks like it's free to the students because of a grant, but it's not. You see what I'm saying? It's not totally clear how it's presented as to its actual meaning.
So the $400 is a per student cost.
I get
And
that.
so some of the students are paying it, but then there are some grants that may be offsetting that cost for the student. So we don't actually know what the actual total cost is going to be.
So it's total cost to us versus total cost of it. Got it.
Correct.
Still confusing. Okay.
Okay,
Excuse me?
move approval.
I think
Just a quick comment. The $400 student visas, the first trip that I went on, we were able to cover the cost of those $400 using ASG funds. So that's why the first time around we were able to cover that ourselves.
How was the trip?
Amazing, thank you.
That's great. So,
No, I'm not, it's just that the way it's presented, it's in my brain, I'm seeing a column that says total cost. And then because there's two different trips, it's visually obvious that that column is mislabeled in my brain.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Showing we completed the vote. But
We haven't voted on it.
showing
Yeah, there was only a motion.
I made a motion, but there wasn't. a
showing
second.
approval on my screen.
There it is.
Okay. Showing unanimous.
It's magic. We got all our votes before.
We don't have a second, I don't think, did we?
I
Oh, yeah.
seconded it.
Oh, you seconded it, thank you. Sorry. I did vote yes, it did go through.
The item is now approved on a 5-0 trustee yes vote and a student advisory student trustee yes vote. Okay, we're now on to business services. 10.1, subaward application acceptance hazard mitigation grant program. Is there a motion for approval?
So move.
Motion from trustee Milchiker,
Second.
second from trustee Dack. Any questions? No? Let's go ahead and vote. Item carries on a unanimous trustee yes vote and a student trustee yes vote. 10.2, BGS HVAC project at Saddleback College, award to United Mechanical Contractors. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion from trustee Milchiker. Second from trustee Prendergast. Any questions? Okay, let's vote on the item.
I have to push two or three times for it to work. It's okay.
Item carries on a unanimous trustee yes vote and a student trustee yes vote. 10.3, agreement for construction management services for district-wide capital construction projects, Cordoba Corporation. Motion from trustee Prendergast.
Second.
I guess second from trustee Inman. Any questions or any updates from Vice Chancellor Gable on this, or no? It's a pretty important contract.
Yeah, so this contract, the construction managers are supplement to our employees, and we have 4 different teams. So a construction manager along with a field engineer that are partnered with our employees, project managers, and they oversee all of the projects that are undertaken either at Saddleback or at Irvine Valley. Really, for anything over 1.5 million is kind of what falls under the auspices of my area. And so these are the folks that are on the ground overseeing the construction on a daily basis, overseeing the general contractor, and, you know, just kind of working through everything, all the questions that come up, the request for information, any potential change orders, that type of thing. So it is a critical service that we need. We currently have a different firm that we're using, and so this is a change in construction managers from who we currently have, but we went through a full vetting with a request for qualifications and a request for proposal. We did interviews. Participants were both campus employees as well as district employees, and Cordoba kind of came out at the top and one of the most reasonable firms. And so we are recommending that we switch firms and go with Cordoba for a 5-year period.
Now, will they be reporting to you directly or Medhani, or how does that work?
So, yeah, I mean, ultimately I oversee the contract, but I would say that they work more closely with Medhani on a day-to-day basis. Okay. But I do step in when needed and if needed. So I do kind of work closely with the firm as well.
Okay, thank you for that. All right. So let's go ahead and vote on the item. Item carries on a unanimous trustee yes vote and a student trustee yes vote. So we're on to 10.4, which is also a construction management services contract, but at this time for Saddleback at ATEP. So maybe you can explain that we have a construction management team for the district overall, and now we have a construction management team for one project.
Right, so this is really just to complete the one specific project, which is the Saddleback at ATEP project. We're mid-construction. We should be more than mid-construction, but we're about mid-construction. This has been a difficult project, and so we didn't want to change the construction managers midstream, since we have had some difficulties with this contractor and kind of moving this project along. So this is a one-time contract that we are requesting to award to Bernard's Brothers, so that we can keep continuity on the construction project and hopefully see it to its fruition in late spring.
Okay, thank you for that. Is there a motion for approval? Motion from trustee Inman.
Second.
Second from trustee Dack. Let's vote on the item. Item carries on a unanimous trustee yes vote and a student trustee yes vote. 10.5, award of master information technology consultant services agreements for work orders, Spiridion Technologies, Nudesic, and management applications. Do we have a motion for approval? Motion from trustee Prendergast.
Second.
Second from trustee Dack. Any questions? All right, let's vote on the item. The item carries on a 5-0 yes vote and a student trustee yes vote. 10.6, MOU be with the California Community Colleges Chancellor's Office, Digital Center for Innovation, Transformation, and Equity Founding Partner. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion from trustee Inman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from trustee Milchker. And then, can you just say a couple words about this, Chancellor Barnes?
Sure. So this is the Digital Center for Innovation, Transformation, and Equity, AKA the Digital Center. And so our district was tapped to be one of a few districts among the 73 districts in the California Community Colleges to serve as a founding partner for the Digital Center. And basically they're recognizing our colleges as leaders in technology and innovation. We also have Vice Chancellor McDonald and myself who serve on statewide technology committees, and so we were very honored to be tapped to serve as founding members. It'll allow us to pilot and evaluate new technologies and then eventually use those technologies and scale them throughout the California community colleges, and then all with an equity lens as well. So it's a really, really important partnership, and we're really excited about it.
Okay, thank you for that. So let's go ahead and vote on the item. Item carries on a unanimous trustee yes vote and a student trustee yes vote. We're now on to human resources, 11.1, academic employees and management personnel actions and ratifications.
I'm required to read out 22 administrative contracts. So before the board votes, hold on to your hats. Here we go.
Oh, no.
Dean Enrollment Services, Christian Alvarado, contract dates July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2027, range 22, step 8, annual salary $272,472. Dean Instructional Support and Teaching Innovation, Saddleback College, Dr. Kim D'Arcy, July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2027, range 22, step 6, annual salary $247,152. Director, Health and Wellness Center, Saddleback College, Dr. Angelito de la Cruz, July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2027, range 18, step 3, $174,864 is annual salary. Dean, Social and Behavioral Sciences and Business Sciences, IVC, Dr. Tracy Vahimi, July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2027, range 22, step 8, annual salary $272,472. Dean, Arts, Media, Performance, and Design, Saddleback College, Dr. Scott Farthing, July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2027, range 22, step 7, annual salary $259,500. Executive Dean, Extended Learning, Categorical, Saddleback College, Dr. Karima Feldis, July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2027, range 23, step 8, annual salary $285,768. Executive Dean, Humanities and Social Sciences, Saddleback College, Christina Hinkle, July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2027, range 23, step 8, annual salary $285,768. Assistant Dean, Career and Technical Education, Saddleback College, Carrie Irwin, July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2027, range 20, step 8, annual salary $245,448. Assistant Dean, Humanities and Social Sciences, Saddleback College, Dr. Jessica Cavan, July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2027, range 20, step 7, annual salary $233,760. Vice President, College Administrative Services, Davit Kachatri and IVC, July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2028, range 25, step 8, annual salary $318,636. Vice President, Student Services, Saddleback College, Dr. Jennifer LaBounty, July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2028. Range 25, Step 7, annual salary 303,468. Dean, Health and Wellness, Saddleback College, Dr. Sherry Lowen, July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2027. Range 22, Step 8, annual salary 272,472. Executive Director, College Foundation, Saddleback College, Elizabeth McCann, July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2027. Range 22, Step 8, annual salary 272,472. Director, Learning Assistant, Saddleback College, Jennifer McConkey, July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2027, range 17, step 4, annual salary 175,152. Vice Chancellor, Educational and Technology Services, Dr. Chris McDonald, July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2028, range 27, step 8, annual salary 354,960. Executive Director, College Foundation, Irvine Valley College, Alyssa Oransky, July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2027, range 22, step 8, annual salary 272,472. Director, Extended Opportunity Programs and Services, IVC, Dr. Rosa Prado, July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2027, range 17, step 8, annual salary 212,880. Dean, Health Sciences, Kinesiology and Athletics, IVC, Dr. Keith Shackelford, July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2027, range 22, step 8, annual salary 272,472. Dean, Career and Continuing Education, Integrated Design, Engineering and Automation, IVC, Deborah Vanchelant, June 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2027, range 22, step 8, annual salary 272,472. Dean Enrollment Services, Greg Vega, IVC, July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2027, range 22, step 5, annual salary 235,368. Vice President Instruction, Tram Vo Ku Komoto, July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2028, range 25, step 8, annual salary 318,636. And finally, Dean Math, Science and Engineering, IVC, Dr. Liana Zhao, July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2027, range 22, step 8, annual salary 272,472. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All brought to you by the state of California.
And by the residents of the South Orange County Community College District. Don't forget to say that, the most important people in this room.
And the law that requires
Okay,
the board
I understand. I get it. I get it.
We heard it, we should get it in writing.
All right. Do we have a motion for approval? Motion from trustee Milchiker.
Second.
Second from trustee Inman. Let's go ahead and vote on the item. Item carries on a unanimous trustee yes vote and a student trustee abstention. 11.2, classified personnel actions and ratifications.
No changes.
No changes to the item. Is there a motion for approval? Motion from trustee Prendergast.
Second.
Second from trustee Dack. Any questions or comments? No. Let's go ahead and vote on the item. The item is approved unanimously by the trustees with a student trustee abstention. 11.3, CSEA Chapter 586 MOU for hybrid and remote work, Program B. Do we have a motion for approval? Motion from trustee Prendergast.
Second.
Second from trustee Dack. Any questions, comments? No, let's vote on the item. The item is approved unanimously by the trustees with the student trustee abstention. And 11.4, the employment agreement with Chancellor Barnes. I think,
So one readout, sorry.
need a readout.
Position of Chancellor, South Orange County Community College District, Dr. Juliana Barnes, contract dates July 1st, 2024 through June 30, 2028. Annual salary $415,623.
All right, you move it?
Second.
Oh, I didn't, got it. Motion from trustee Milchiker and a second from trustee Prendergast. Any comments or questions? No? Let's go ahead and vote on the item. The item is approved unanimously by the trustees with the student trustee abstention. Congratulations, keep doing the good work. All right, now we're on to item 12, agenda item 12, 12.1, Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College, the spring 2025 community education programs. Need a motion for approval. Motion from trustee Milchiker.
Second.
Second from trustee Dack. Did I see a question or no question? Okay, let's go ahead and vote on the item. Item is approved unanimously by the trustees with a student trustee, sorry? Oh, let me say again, unanimous approval by trustees and a student trustee yes vote as well. 12.2, final action in public session, Saddleback College student discipline.
So moved.
Motion from trustee Prendergast. Second from trustee Inman. Any questions? Okay, let's vote on the item. The item is approved unanimously by the trustees and a student trustee yes vote. All right, that brings us to our information items. 13.1, staff response to public comments from the previous board meeting. 13.2, Saddleback College and IVC speakers. 13.3, quarterly investment report. 13.4, basic aid report. 13.5, pension stabilization trust fund. 13.6, retiree OPEB trust fund. 13.7, quarterly financial status report, and 13.8, monthly financial status report. Now we'll go into item 14, 14.1, reports from the administration, and let's start out with Chancellor Barnes.
I just want to give my congratulations to our trustees, Trustee Jamal, or President Jamal, Trustee Dack, and Trustee Inman for being reelected to the board. So very happy, and I'll be looking forward to our newly elected member as well. And then I also want to extend congratulations to Vice Chancellors Viscachill and Vice Chancellor Gable for being recognized by the OC Business Journal for the Women in Business Awards. And then also in the Orange County Business Journal 2024 OC 500 to Presidents Dr. Stern and Dr. Hernandez for being recognized for your leadership. And then last but not least, congratulations to Charlotte for being recognized in the article in OC Register. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Now let's move on to our college presidents. Irvine Valley College President John Hernandez.
Thank you, President Jamal. I too would like to extend my congratulations to our re-elected trustees and the continuity of leadership that this provides. Also want to congratulate IVC's Marketing and Creative Services team. The National Council for Marketing and Public Relations District 6 just posted the recipients of the Medallion Awards, and the IVC marketing team received 2 gold and 3 silver. One of the golds was for a microsite landing page for the Sound Off Veterans project, almost like a comic book of sorts, as well as for a gold for community success stories on our youngest graduate as part of that PR campaign. 2 of the items I want to highlight are already included in my president's report to the board, but I want to highlight something that wasn't included in both of these. First, I wanted to congratulate the IVC and Saddleback students who participated in the 13th annual Student Research Symposium. I want to congratulate the 83 presentation research projects from IVC students, but equally important, the 34 faculty mentors. There are too many to name in my time allocation, but the importance of mentoring, guiding students through research, supporting them and encouraging them cannot be understated. I also want to highlight our speech team, which, as you see in the report, earned 47 awards across 4 tournaments. I do want to thank the faculty who work so closely with our speech and debate team. That list is much shorter, and I could just say thanks to Jules French, Bill Neeson, Christian Pipion, Caitlin Dries, Claire Grossman, and Eric Garcia. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, President Hernandez. Now turning to Saddleback College, Elliot Stern.
Congratulations to all of our trustee victors. As we know from one of our very important partner school districts, incumbency can no longer be taken for granted. So congratulations heartily to all of you. I also want to highlight a couple things from my written report and from your agenda elsewhere. In the curriculum you approved, I want to highlight a new transfer degree in social work and human services. This is the first time we offer a transfer degree in effectively pre-social work for students who are headed in that direction. And in my written report, I want to highlight, because it was alluded to in the CTE report, our new pending partnership with CSU San Marcos, where our nursing students will be co-enrolled in their RN to BSN program, such that they will need just an additional 6 months with CSU San Marcos after graduating here in order to have their BSN. So we are working closely with our partners in the CSUs, even though we feel strongly that the need will never be met without our own BSN. And finally, last tonight, I just want to mention right off the ticker some of the postseason play for our athletes. We have 4 teams that have advanced into playoffs. Men's soccer, you'll recall, were just an inaugural team last year. They're already 11th seed and advancing into playoffs. Women's soccer, former state champions and national champions, are 3rd seed in the state contest. Women's volleyball entering into playoffs. Women's water polo also entering into playoffs. Our men's football team ended up with a good finish at 7-3, and they will be invited to the Patriotic Bowl on Tuesday, 11/26 at 2 p.m., where they will play Bakersfield. So a bowl game for our football team, and men's soccer advances, and 3 women's teams advance. Congratulations to all of them.
Good news. Thank you very much. Now, moving on to our Vice Chancellor of Education and Technology Services.
No report.
Thank you very much. Vice Chancellor of Human Resources.
Just a congratulations to Scott Ferguson Green and his leadership team in CSEA. They did ratify the new contract last week on the 15th, and the importance of that contract means that in beginning July 1st of 2026, our classified employees will have the ability to attain lifetime medical, which is historic in our district. And I want to thank and appreciate Scott and his team for getting that ratified. Thank you.
That's very good news. Glad to hear that. And then our Vice Chancellor of Business Services.
No report.
All right. Well, I think we're coming to the end of the meeting, so bear with me as we close. So as we come to the close of today's meeting, I would like to take a moment to honor and remember Ty Torres, a valued member of our Saddleback College faculty who recently passed away on November 6, 2024. Ty was more than an educator. He was a mentor, a colleague, and a friend to many. As a part-time faculty member for over 15 years, he demonstrated unwavering dedication and passion for his students and his discipline. His positive impact extended far beyond the classroom, inspiring countless students and colleagues alike with his warmth, humility, and commitment to fostering a love of learning. Ty's contributions to the college community will be deeply missed, and his legacy will live on through the countless lives he touched. Please keep Ty, his family, and his loved ones in your thoughts. May all we continue to carry forward his spirit of kindness and commitment in all we do. I would also like to take a moment to honor the life and legacy of our colleague Jerry Patterson, a beloved and steadfast member of the Coast Community College District Board who recently passed away at the age of 90. Jerry dedicated over 27 years to serving as a trustee with the vision and commitment that shaped not only the Coast District, but also left an indelible impact on education throughout California. His passion for civic engagement, his relentless advocacy for students, and his commitment to educational opportunity for all have left an enduring mark. Jerry had really a remarkable career, not only here in our community, but also at the national level as a 5-term member of Congress and as mayor of Santa Ana. His work extended far beyond politics. He was an educator, an environmental advocate, and a friend to all those who believed in the transformative power of education. Through roles in the Association of Community College Trustees, California Community College Trustees, and more, he championed access, equity, and progress for students across the state and nation. His memory will live on through his legacy. His family, friends, and all who work with him are in our thoughts. I thank you all for coming, and have a good night.